Well, good morning. Trucker Todd here, and time for another video. All right, folks, now that I've done a few loads, left orientation, we've already talked about the truck. I've shown you the truck. Let's talk about what day-to-day life is like here at RE Garrison. Let's talk about what over-the-road freight is like, and I'll tell you what I think about my dispatcher and all of that. But before that, tell YouTube what you think about this channel. Give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media platforms, and most importantly, subscribe. Then click the bell, select all. What that does, it puts me higher up in the algorithms, and it suggests this video out to more people. So if you or someone you know is looking for a great place to work, or you've had thoughts about RE Garrison, you know, share these videos out so that more people can be aware of what's going on over here. There's a ton of negativity out there, but a lot of it's older stuff, and they've made a lot of changes, so we'll talk about that as well. All right, I'm going to cue up the music, and then we'll jump right in. Here we go.
And this is why I do this, why I'm out here, why I keep that hammer down, flying by these road signs, with home on my mind, with these wheels turning round, for my family and for my kids, for this life I wanna live. And this is why I do this.
So this is a little off topic, but I want to cover this before we get into the video. There is some negative stuff out there, but most of it's older stuff. They are actively making changes to try to improve constantly, which is something you like to see in a company. No company is perfect, but when they take driver input, that's always a plus. And I wanted to give you an example of that before I jump into this. While I was at orientation leaving, they were changing hotels, and that was due to driver feedback. So that's really, really important, that if they saw the drivers were not happy, or the drivers had concerns at the hotel they were at, they were moving them to another hotel. I thought that was really good. And I've already talked about driver appreciation and things like that. So let's talk about what happened when I left the yard. They gave me the perfect load for a first load. It had been a few years since I'd pulled reefer. They used the Samsara ELD, and so I wanted something with a little time on it where I could kind of dip my toes in the water and see, you know, what I thought about it, and make sure if I made a mistake there was time to correct it. They gave me a load that picked up that evening. It was about 40 miles away, and then it had 130 loaded miles to go, or so, 138, something like that. Paid $475 a mile, and so I got $600 and something on it to the truck. And then since I delivered my first load on time, I also got $500 of a $2,000 or a $2,500 sign-on bonus. And that pays out over time. So ended up being a little over $1,100 for driving 130 something miles. I was very happy with it. It delivered the next morning, so I had plenty of time to do it. Earlier that day, they'd put in for an empty. Conveniently, they were able to find me an empty right there on the yard that was already washed out in good condition. And so I was able to grab that and go without a lot of drama and chaos and stuff like that. I really appreciated that, and that load went off without a hitch. After I delivered that load, they had a driver that broke down in Indianapolis, or not in Indianapolis. They had a driver, let me look it up instead of guessing. They had a driver that broke down in Knoxville, Tennessee. And so I went and grabbed that load, delivered it to Lebanon, Indiana, and I'm currently delivering a load in Selma, Texas at the time you're seeing this video. One thing I'll say about the dispatcher, I called her the day that the truck was ready and introduced myself, or actually the day I got the truck, I called and introduced myself. She's very knowledgeable about the trucking industry. She's been, I looked her up on LinkedIn. I cheated, I ain't gonna lie. And she's been around trucking, looks like, for a long time. She told me on the phone her husband had driven for 30 years, and so she knows her stuff. And one thing I'll say about her, she's been great so far, very responsive when I contacted her. I went to, on Friday, I went to go wash my truck and get a trailer washout. You get a one free truck wash when you start, and I guess I went too soon. It got declined. I emailed her late Friday afternoon, and she was very responsive, said I'll get on this first thing Monday morning. No problem. Super to deal with. The loads have been great. And so then Saturday I delivered, and I was trying to get a reefer reimbursement, which is if you show up and do a drop and hook and the trailer they give you when you pick up is low in fuel, you can apply for a reefer reimbursement. The app we used for that was not working. You have to put your email in, and my email hadn't been added to the drop list yet. So she said she thought they just hadn't had a chance to set that up. And I emailed her on Saturday, not expecting a response until Monday. And she emailed me back and said, hey, I'll get to work on this first thing Monday morning. So I was, between you and me, I was a little surprised that she was checking her email on Saturday. But I definitely appreciate her commitment and devotion. And so far, so good. She's been great to deal with. Now let's talk about RE Garrison as a whole. The loads I've got, I mentioned the first one paid $4.75 to the truck, $4.75 a mile. The second one paid right at $1.98 a mile to the truck. And I know that sounds low, but you got to keep in mind that that's after they take out their 30%. The third one paid $1.80. But you got to keep in mind they're trying to get me to Texas so I can get like my tire socks and leaf blower and things like that. So very happy with that. Going to the San Antonio area to Selma, Texas. $1.80 a mile is pretty good, actually. Right now, Texas, going into Texas and coming out to Texas is not paying great right now. Now, Texas to Texas is pretty good at the time of filming this video, but just being able to get in Texas at $1.80 a mile to the truck to me, I was very happy with that. And so it worked out great. I also talked to some friends of mine that were in class. They're also having really good experiences so far with the company, and so it just makes me more excited. She's been very responsive when I email or when I call. And so I'm enjoying it so far. I know that some of the negative Nellies have said, oh, I had a buddy that worked there way back when and it was terrible. And I get that, but I think they've made some changes and it seems a lot better. But again, I'm no expert. I've just done a few loads. In the comments, I'll put the recruiter I dealt with information. Contact her if something I say sounds too good to be true, or if you've got additional questions that maybe I hadn't covered in my video, feel free to contact me as well, and I'll try to get you the answer. But anyway, after you talk to her, let me know how it goes. If you find the recruiter to be as great as I did, when you get on here, let me know what you think about your dispatcher. I know when I was around the terminal and I was just randomly asking drivers, and I told them who my dispatcher was going to be, they're like, she's one of the best ones here. I wish I had her. So that made me feel good. And so far, I'm really impressed with her. She's been awesome to deal with. But don't worry, I will keep you updated in the future about how this goes. You guys have a great week, and gals, you people have that doesn't sound good either. Y'all have a great week, and we'll talk to you in the next video. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.